Assalamu alaikum. The reader name is The Ancient World, written by Zoe Clark. Back in time, do you think the people who lived in the past were different from us? They may not have had the things we have today, such as mobile phones and computers, but they found new ways of doing things all the time. Each page in this book has a timeline. The timeline tells you when different people were alive. The map shows you where in the world these people lived. The photographs and drawings show you the amazing things that happened in the ancient world. Stone Age people. What were people doing millions of years ago? The most important thing was to stay alive. Stone Age people hunted and gathered food. They used a hard stone called flint to make weapons and tools. This piece of sharpened flint was used as an axe. Life was hard, but it wasn't all work for Stone Age people. They painted pictures of animals and people on cave walls. They also left handprints. Some handprints were made by blowing paint around a hand. The paint was made of different colored rocks crushed together. Bronze Age people. Bronze Age people still used stone, but now they had a new material. Bronze was brought to Britain from Europe and everyone liked it. Bronze was made into all kinds of useful things. Warriors fought with sharp swords and spears made of bronze. They wore bronze helmets and held bronze shields. Look how different this axe is from the Stone Age axe. Not everything was made of bronze. During the Bronze Age, people learned to weave and make clothes from wool. They also made pottery, which may have been used to hold food and drink at feasts. Some Bronze Age pots were decorated with patterns. The Shang and the Zhou. Two of the most important families who ruled in ancient China were called the Shang and the Zhou. When the Shang ruled China, people found a new way of turning bronze into useful things. They poured molten bronze into hollow containers called molds. These molds could be taken apart and used again. This is a Shang bronze container made in the shape of a dragon from a mold. Modern China, Shang and Zhou. The Shang used shells as money. By the time the Zhou ruled, ancient China coins had been invented. Bronze coins weren't round, they came in different shapes like fish. The Zhou defended their land by building walls of earth to keep their enemies out. Later, the Great Wall of China was built on top of this wall. The Olmec people. The Olmec people built huge buildings called pyramids. Olmec pyramids were made of large blocks of stone and they had steps going up the sides. Important Olmecs would climb the steps to the top. North America, Olmec people, South America. Along with big buildings, the Olmec people also liked big art. They carved giant heads out of stone, but no one's quite sure why. The heads are all different and they may show important Olmec leaders. This Olmec man is wearing a hat. The ancient Egyptians. Like the Olmecs, the ancient Egyptians also built pyramids, which were made of huge blocks of stone. Some pyramids took years to build. Pyramids were tombs for their leaders, called pharaohs. Egypt. There are about 2.3 million stone blocks in the Great Pyramid of Giza. The ancient Egyptians liked metal too. They made beautiful things like jewelry out of copper, silver, gold, iron, lead, and bronze. The ancient Egyptians wrote on paper made out of plants called papyrus. They also carved on stone. The ancient Egyptians used pictures and symbols. These are called hieroglyphs. The ancient Greeks. Greece was an exciting place to be in the ancient world. The ancient Greeks built huge temples, invented the theater, and wrote lots of plays and poetry. The first ever Olympic Games were held in Greece, where the winners won a crown made of olive branches. The ancient Greeks also had their own alphabet. The ancient Greeks had lots of good ideas. A man called Aristotle thought the earth was round, but at the time no one believed him. The ancient Greeks made lots of new rules and laws. In some Greek cities, some of the people were allowed to choose who would become their ruler. This idea spread to other parts of the world. Iron Age people. Meanwhile, in Britain, people still couldn't write, but there were lots of other things going on. A new metal was brought to Britain as well as bronze. People could now make things out of iron. Iron is much sharper than bronze and it made better weapons and tools. Britain. Iron Age people formed the land and they lived in round houses like this. Iron Age people also built hill forts. These forts were built on the top of hills and may have protected people from attack. High wooden fence, ditches. Ditches made it more difficult for enemies to get into the hill fort. The ancient Romans. Rome was the most powerful place in the ancient world. This huge building is called the Colosseum. It was built to show everyone how important the rulers in Rome were. Inside the Colosseum, Romans watched warriors and wild animals fight. There were seats for 50,000 people. How did Rome become so powerful? The Romans had a large army which was bigger than anyone else. Their soldiers were well trained and won lots of battles. When Romans defeated their enemies, they took their land. The Romans were also great inventors. They built huge channels called aqueducts to move water from one place to another. This aqueduct in France was built in Rome. The Maya people. The Maya people lived in cities surrounded by forests. They also built huge pyramids made of stone. The Maya pyramids were temples. Maya kings climbed the steps to the top of the pyramid and gave gifts to their gods. There are buildings at the top, steps. The Maya people played a game called Pokatok, which is a bit like football. How many teams played? Two. Number of players, any number. What do you need? One rubber ball. How long was the game? It could go on for days. How do you score? Touch special marker with the ball. Get the ball through the hole in the markers. What happens if you lose? The ancient world was full of new and exciting ideas. Look around at the world today and you will see that people are still inventing and building, thinking of better ways to do things, just like the people of the ancient world. Glossary. Ancient. In a time long past. Carved. To shape with a sharp tool. Defeated. Beat someone in battle. Molten. Metal that is heated so it becomes liquid. Symbols. Drawn signs instead of words. Temple. A place to worship. Tombs. Graves. Talk about the book. Answer the questions. What did Stone Age people use to make paint? What did the Shang use as money? Where were the first ever Olympic Games held? Can you think of another word that means the same as defeated? Page 19. Why were the Romans so good at beating other people in battle? Which ancient people built pyramids? Explain why Iron Age people built hill forts on top of hills. Would you like to play a game of Pokatok like the Maya people? Why not?